Well, I don't know how and I don't know why.
Are you pulling a Miles Braun on us?
This is an Ed Sheeran classic, and I would bid you be silent in the face of greatness.
I can speak.
No. We have to be silent in the face of greatness. You heard him.
Yeah. Hush.
And again, this is also the guy who forces us to pick the worst of two.
That's enough. Don't make me mute you.
I missed you too, buddy.
Aww. Don't have oh, darling, my heart's on fire. Oh, darling, my heart's on fire. Oh, darling, my heart's on fire. Well, I don't know where and I don't know when. I know we'll be lovers again. See you someday before the end. I don't know where and I don't know when. Oh, darling, my heart's on fire. Some of those songs, sometimes when people have like accents, like Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins. I remember the first time I bought a double album, and it was Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, and I was about 12, and I got it. I got my mum to buy it from Woolworths, and it was like almost 20 quid at the time. And I remember listening to the first track is obviously Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, which is one of the most beautiful piano pieces ever written. And then Tonight starts after that. And as soon as Billy Corgan started singing, this is what my 12-year-old brain screamed out. Oh no, that's not his voice, is it? But it's interesting how you come to love stuff, isn't it? I got to be honest, the first time I heard Brett Goldstein's voice, I thought, I can't listen to, and again, one of those things that just melts away. Speaking of melting away, everyone's here. A lot of people here already. Hello,
Hey,
everyone.
Teresa.
Let me get Teresa in. David, what's up, brother? You good?
I'm good. Yeah. No, I was just, so when you were just talking about that, so it reminded me the first time I saw A Star Is Born.
Yeah.
Now, I had never heard, I knew of Lady Gaga, but I had never heard her voice. I had never heard any one of her songs. So when she stepped up and did Shallow for the first time, it was like, I'll never forget that, because it was like the hairs of my arm just jumped.
Mm-hmm.
I went, holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's one of those things where some people, and I think why it was so powerful is because that was like her story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she played that role like she was the one that was underappreciated, that had to do all these things, and that was her story, literally. And so that's why it was so good. But yeah, when you were talking about like hearing people and I still go back. It was what, almost 6 years ago. It's just like, I mean, obviously, it's just her voice. There are very few people's voice that you just go. I mean, for me, I know this is gonna sound corny, but Michael Bolton,
dude.
I mean,
love for the Bolton.
He sings opera. I saw
the man with the mullet.
The reason I say that is because I saw him in concert when I was 18. I had front row seats, and his encore. And anybody, I know you can't compare it to the original, and I understand that, but his encore was Lean on Me.
Oh, wow.
And I saw that live. And obviously, Bill Withers is all day the OG.
Of course.
I'm not
Yeah,
disputing
no
that.
one's disputing that.
But when you see that live and have him hold that note for as long as he did, you go.
Dude, my one
I mean, there have
my
been
one live.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Dude, my one live was I was that dickhead, right? When back in the late 90s, early noughties, I guess, when it was quite hard to listen to certain metal, new metal, rock music. Like, it was hard to listen to it commercially because there wasn't many stations. And over here we had Radio 1, and Monday night at midnight used to be Mary Ann Hobbs' rock show. And obviously when you're like 14 and still at school, it's a bit of a tricky thing to be staying up late. But this was the thing. I stayed up late one night and I heard an advance preview of Linkin Park's first album. I heard whatever the first one they
Paper Cuts, and I think One Step Closer. I think is like was their
One
first
Step Closer
single.
was the one they released first, and that's the one that I heard. And then I became that dickhead who, because I'd heard it first, I ran round to all of my friends going, Linkin Park, Linkin Park, Linkin Park, Linkin Park would be massive. The album came out, they were subsequently massive. But one thing, I went to see them when they supported Deftones at London Docklands about a year later, and hearing Chester Bennington's voice live compared to what it sounds like in the studio are two very different things, especially to those of who are rock or metal inclined. One thing that was always judged by a frontman is their ability to scream or to roar. And I swear to God, the first time I heard Chester Bennington roar live, it was life changing. It was suddenly you just go, okay, no, instant respect. Have a sachet of instant respect, my son. R.I.P. R.I.P.
I kind of have one of those stories too.
Okay, go on then.
When in the States, 98 Rock is the big station in like the Baltimore area. And they did not, and for some reason they decided to play a Lamb of God song.
Yep.
And at that time their whole thing was either new metal or classic rock. When I heard Randy Blythe scream and do that kind of vocal,
Brandon Boyd
hooked me
from Incubus. Yep. That boy has strings to his bow. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. You think it's just Drive, but if you hear
no Science, anything off of Science, anything off their first album. That, I mean, if you look at Science as a whole before Make Yourself came out, Science has in it trip hop, drum and bass, jungle, breakbeat, new metal,
a little bit of jazz,
some swings like Anti-Gravity, Summer Romance, that jazzy swing to it. Like how one band managed to like absolutely I don't know, combine all those elements and get all those genres. Alfie, I'm trying to get you in, brother. You might need to come out and come back in. I don't know why it's not working, but I'm trying to connect you. But let's keep on going. Let me say hi. Let me say hi to other people. I love that. Kale is just connecting. Hopefully, you can come through. Oh no, that seems to have failed. Matthew, talk to me. Say hello.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. I started writing my next story to be published, hopefully by the end of June.
Wonderful, good. And you've set yourself a target.
Yes,
Hey, Raven. Dude, setting yourself a target is the main thing. And I hate to say this, but I heard this from, I think his name is Justin. I can never remember his last name. He's the ex-UFC fighter who went out to do charity work in Africa. And he's a wonderful human being. I can't remember his last name, but I heard him on the Joe Rogan podcast years ago.
JC.
That's the boy. And he said one of the things that his wrestling coach said to him when he was a teenager was, if you've got goals, you have to write them down, as in you physically write them down, put them up somewhere, give yourself a goal. That way you're much more engaged with the whole path to success. So, dude,
Exactly.
having a goal is the right start. Good man.
Thank you.
Good man. All right, we said hi to Carl. Hi, Teresa.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Skadooosh.
Well, not our mutual friend. I mean, he's very much more your friend than mine. But a lot of Brian Cox this week.
Yeah, don't you love it?
Oh! His guide to method acting. Just fucking say the fucking lines.
There you go.
Just say the lines and don't bump into the furniture might be the greatest advice an actor has ever given younger generations of actors ever.
Also, speaking of Brian Cox in Succession, I didn't know that Jesse Armstrong also wrote for The Thick of It.
Oh, 100%.
He was he was one of the main writers, and also he wrote an episode. He wrote episode 3 of Black
He's
Mirror.
the most famous really over here for Peep Show, which is
I think that's on Netflix over here, or Hulu, or one.
I would recommend it. It's an acquired taste, and that's a very good segue because tonight is obviously top 5 movies from the production behemoth now, and other adjectives that you can probably assign to this production house being progressive, experimental, avant-garde. Any others? Anyone else got any adjectives for A24? How else would anyone else describe A24?
Eclectic.
Very good. Very good.
Out there.
Out there, exactly. They're there.
Well, not all of their stuff.
Not all of this.
Not every. They do have like they can squeeze in a Moonlight or a Room.
Yeah.
It's not all just.
That's still
I
out
was going to
there.
say diverse.
Diverse. Yeah, diverse is 100%. And I think there's an element of what I love is that from A24's kind of portfolio, you have everything from kind of Mike Lee-esque kind of gritty, very down to earth, realistic dramas through to obviously Everything Everywhere All at Once. You have genre bending movies, you have some pretty explicit stuff in there as well. They are not just one thing. They have so many strings to their bows. They are the Brandon Boyd, Ryan, you might say, of the of production houses.
If I may, I would use plethora.
Very good. Very good. Plethora, certainly. Myriad. Diverse, I think, is very good. Raven, hi. I don't know if we've met. Probably if we haven't yet before. Either way, if you're having trouble grabbing a mic, you might not be the only one. We're having what we call Elon issues in the spaces, but keep trying if you want to give us a list. I'll get to that very quickly. I'm going to get my 5 out the way, and I'll do movie Steph's as well. Let me see if I can get Tero in here. I was just thinking about Tero the other day. Tero, brother, I was thinking about you. Here he is. Muy Tero.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm watching The Last of Us finally.
Which episode?
I have 2 episodes left.
Oh, so you've done episode 3 then?
Yeah, that was the best one so far.
Oh my God. Now I'm struggling to, there's a part of me that's trying to reconcile, is it so good because it's Nick Offerman and Murray Bartlett? And then it's not just that. It's kind of a beautiful combination, I think, is what I'm reconciled to, of wonderful writing, really good writing. Again, from Craig Mazin, I think.
Yeah, I love that.
How are you finding it as a whole?
I think as a whole, I think it's a bit uneven. Some episodes are not so interesting.
I would agree, because I'll tell you what, I binge. If I'm hooked into something, 9 times out of 10, I will plow through it in as quick a time as possible. It took me a few weeks to get through all of The Last of Us, and that took that wasn't waiting for episodes either. It was just I needed a breather. It was hard to do more than 1 episode at a time, I found.
Well, I have to finish until all episodes are out. I don't start before that. So
yeah,
that's why I'm watching it now.
I like that. Okay, right. Let me get onto the lists. Let me. Oh, Chloe's here, and Aaron's here. I got 2 Australian people.
What's Chloe doing on here? Have you ever seen an A24 film, woman? Seriously.
I mean, wow!
Yes, I have.
Straight in with the misogyny.
It is misogyny. All right, this is how we
It's
run
like
things
almost
down
like
here.
I mean,
movies aren't
Rude.
international.
she's more than just an agenda, Aaron. Your wife is more than just an agenda.
On a
Husband.
on a side
Yeah,
note,
but
this
you
one,
love
this
me.
this
You
list was
love
pretty
me.
tough for me because I still haven't seen a couple of their really good films, so my list might be a little incomplete.
Which one are you
But I
finding?
do. But that said,
Which
I
ones are
do
you
stand
missing
by
out?
my choices because I think they are phenomenal films.
I think okay. There's a few things to explore here.
One of them is in my top 30 of all time.
I spoke to Chloe about this, and Chloe's not alone. I think there are a few Aaron as well, who A24 isn't everyone's bag. Like you've
Nah, man.
probably seen 5 movies from A24. That's what kind of
And
why
not
I
even
picked
know
it.
it.
But they're definitely not everyone's bag.
Only just seen 5 movies.
And let's be honest, are some of them filler in your list?
One's a filler.
Fair enough. And listen, that's okay. I want to explore that. We'll get into that a little bit more. But in terms of like A24, when I started looking at my list, okay, we can do. You can take this and do this however you want. I'm going to leave this completely open to you. If you want to leave everything everywhere all at once out, kind of in the same way that it's. I mean,
It will be left out. Don't you worry about that. It will not even make my list.
but this is the thing. I know for your reasons, it will be left out for different reasons from other people because I know how much you struggled with it, and you're not alone there. Absolutely not. Ryla struggled with it. I know Steph did, and quite a few others. However, I think there's a strong case for quite a lot of us whereby we wouldn't want to put it in our list because it's just. It's kind of, oh, of course it's number one. Like, of course it's number one. But I think looking through my list, I started with 15. No, I got it down to 15, and I still had left out some really big ones. So I think there's plenty in here to explore, and I think it's going to give us a wider picture of kind of what it is that A24 has given us over a relatively short period of time for a production house. For a studio, really? I mean, 2 decades.
As a guide in the nest, I put their filmography. So if you're wondering what's considered an A24 movie or what's been released by them, there you go.
Good man. All right, I'm gonna go with me and Steph to begin with, and then I'll hand over to. Sorry, Alfie, I haven't even said hi, brother. What's up, man?
Hello.
Hello, and sorry, hi to Cinemaniac, to Abjeet. Abjeet, hello.
Hello,
Assalamu
bro.
alaikum.
Hello. Walaikum assalam.
You good?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's early morning here. It's like 6
a.m.
Yeah.
You're in India, is that right?
Yeah, I'm in India. Yeah.
Oh, bye. All I will say is it means a lot to me that you're joining a space at 6 a.m. to talk about movies. But have you got a list? Have you got 5 for me?
Of course.
Excellent. Now that way, Ekto Teen Cha Punch. Top punch. Okay, I will start off. I will get mine out the way. And all right, I have done it. I've done it, and I'm not going to put everything everywhere all at once on my list because one, I've talked about it enough on this space. Everyone knows my feelings on it. I don't think it's bringing anything to the table by kind of putting it on the list. All I can say is it kind of sits above number one for me. It just is. So far to date, I think it's hard to argue that it's not the best or the most successful, certainly the most successful movie that they have produced. So with that in mind,
so everything else is an honorable mention. Everything could be considered an honorable mention.
Okay. We need to come up with a term. Actually, we need to come up with a term which is kind of both kind of combines basic and just it's a given. Like it's a given. It's like, I don't know, top 5 rom-coms is always going to have Notting Hill in it. And like I said, a given. I'm not taking any questions at this time. All right, my number 5. So mine and Steph's. My number 5, it has to be in there because it's still one of the ones which affected me the most when I saw it. Also because I knew a little bit about the backstory and the true story before I saw the movie. It is Joe Cole's finest performance in the Thai prison / boxing / drug movie that is A Prayer Before Dawn. If you haven't seen A Prayer Before Dawn, it's a tough watch. It is a prison movie about a Scouser, a Liverpudlian who, whilst out in Thailand, gets caught on drug offences, has to go to jail for a number of years, and it is a extremely, both at the same time, kind of poetic, beautifully shot, just gorgeously shot, but also, I mean, incredibly. Again, we talked about gritty realism. It's like if you mixed a bit of, like, I don't know, David Lowery with Mike Lee.
It looks like Midnight Express mixed with Warrior.
Yes. Oh, look at this. When two become one. When two become one. Okay, but that is my recommendation. If you haven't seen A Prayer Before Dawn, it's outstanding. So that's my number 5. Stephanie has gone for The Whale at number 5. I haven't seen it. I am also privileged enough to know that she shared with me that, I mean, I don't think she really thought that much of it. Maybe somewhere between 2 and 3 stars, somewhere in that range. It's something I've heard in the discourse about The Whale, which is that it tends to be a 5-star performance in a 3-star film. I don't know if that's being unfair. I don't have a comment on it. I haven't seen it. It's kind of an amalgamation of what I've heard so far. So those are our 5s. Her number 4 was Minari, which I know everyone says Minari, but I mean it's Minari because that's how it's said in the movie. I liked it. I got to be honest. I was a tiny bit underwhelmed, and maybe, and again, a lot of this sometimes is the time and the place that you find yourself in, or the mind space or the headspace that you're in when you watch a movie. Maybe that had something to do with it. I got to be honest. Minari, I liked it. I didn't see the fuss. I didn't see the. I do get why it garnered so much attention. But personally, as a piece of art, I thought it was just fine. It's just fine. On the contrast, so Minari at number 4 for Steph. My number 4 is Under the Skin. And now I've had to leave a lot of incredible movies out of my list. This is one that I just couldn't. Under the Skin has to be on this list for me personally, because I think part of the joy of watching movies sometimes is, and again, this speaks very much to A24's oeuvre, is sometimes you just don't know what's coming. And sometimes that's for the best, because I swear to God, no one ever like switched off or walked out of Under the Skin without going, well, that's going to be stuck in my head for the next 18 years. Fuck. Which is a good thing, by the way, in my opinion. Anyone else have any naysayers on Under the Skin?
And I think at the time it was kind of marketed as like an art house, sexy Scarlett Johansson movie. And that's the way it was like marketed over here.
Jonathan Glazer, the director, and I swear, and Ryan, if you can do me a massive favor, bruv, can you find the YouTube link to the Jonathan Glazer 1980s it was a commercial that he shot for Cadbury's Flake. Okay, Cadbury's Flake.
I know he did a lot of music videos back in the day.
It's a chocolate bar. Let's just say it never got aired. It was never aired. You will see why if you look on the link. But also, I watched Sexy Beast again recently, and just every time I watch that, it reaffirms just how much of a real artist that guy is. If anyone remembers, you may not, but if anyone is a student of marketing, sorry, like me, you may know about the Guinness advert, the famous Guinness advert, the surfing advert. He waits. Good things comes to those who wait.
What was the company called for the advertisement?
It was Cadbury's Flake. Was the product that he was promoting. But again, if you haven't seen that Guinness advert either, I think that, again, people like Ridley Scott made their way into Hollywood off the back of a similar sort of trajectory, which was impress people in commercials, be a visual and powerful and impactful storyteller in as short as period of time, and that was your way forward. So yeah, that's enough about Under the Skin. So those are our number 4s.
Have you seen Birth?
Seen what? Sorry, yeah.
Birth, his film with Nicole Kidman.
No, I haven't.
You haven't? Oh, you need to watch that.
Birth.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's just like a little synopsis about it. It's about so Nicole Kidman, she plays this widow, and out of nowhere, this kid appears, and he tells her that he is her husband that has been reincarnated.
I remember Mark Kermo talking about this, but I never ended up watching it.
It's a crazy movie, but I mean, all of Glazer's films are insane. He actually has a movie, hopefully comes out this year for A24 called The Zone of Interest, and it's a Holocaust movie.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Apparently it's being described as a Holocaust romance. So I don't know what the fuck is that.
Listen, I trust that man to go away and just make what he wants to make in the true spirit of artistic liberation. 100. I just trust that man to go away and do what he does, because he does whatever he does it best. All right. This is easy at number 3 for Steph and I, because we both have the same movie, Locke. And I have a feeling we're going to hear more about Locke as we go along, because I hope it is in people's repertoire. And if you haven't seen it, it's under 90 minutes. It's Tom Hardy in a car having telephone conversations, and it's one of the most thrilling car journeys of all time. I had a weird connection with my dad over it, my 76-year-old dad who worked in construction all his life, and just he, like, honestly, he loved the story in itself. He loves it, but he geeked out over the whole cement pour like aspect of it. And again, anything that you can connect with the loved ones around you with over movies, just grab hold of it. So we both had Locke at number 3. Steph's 2 and 1. Steph went with Room, Abrahamson. I would get it wrong. Lenny Abrams' Room at number 2. Technically, it should come with a trigger warning, I think, Room. Although it's one of those movies where it kind of it's one where you would naturally perhaps give a trigger warning to, but actually it's not the movie you would think it was based off of perhaps a 1 or 2 sentence synopsis. Is that fair? Would you say it's more than the narrative?
I'm still kind of angry and upset with A24 that the initial trailers actually spoiled the midway point. I know that could be a like a thing where it's not going to be depressing for the entire movie, but still.
I understand. Listen, we're on the same page in that respect, brother.
Also, the book is amazing too. The book
is fantastic, and the debut performance from Jacob Tremblay. Tremblay. A wonderful debut performance, and Brie Larson really at her, scorching best.
Should have gotten a nomination.
She really should have done. Absolutely tragic that she didn't. Okay, so Room is her number 2, and her number 1 is Moonlight. I have a feeling we're going to get into Moonlight quite a lot tonight. I left it out, and I left out a number of other movies which are going to be on other people's lists. I think my explanation for that is that it's kind of almost, to me, it's almost in the same bracket as Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's that good that I wanted to probably be a bit more personal with my list. But Steph's number 1 is Moonlight, so her 1 to 5 is Moonlight at 1, Room at 2, Lock at 3, Minari at 4, and The Whale at 5. Now, finishing my list, I could not have The Green Knight on my list. There was always going to be a Lowry in here. There was always going to be a Lowry. Sometimes there are movies that are just you. Do you know what I mean? They're just you. And there's something about The Green Knight, like the kind of the dreamscape kind of quality to it, the fantasy mixed with the kind of the earthy, ghostly elements. It's everything I love about storytelling and about movies. I remember watching it and then rewinding it and watching it again immediately after. So I watched it twice the first time I watched it. So The Green Knight is my number 2. Number 1. Okay, I'm gonna go with this. Oh no, I can't. Oh no, okay, I am gonna go with it. It's called Boy State. It's a documentary. It's A24. I think you can access it via Apple. It was my number 1 was almost 5 or 6 other movies, but just in this moment, I feel that it's right. This is the one that calls to me the most because I think it's one of the lesser seen A24 movies. It's a documentary essentially about debate and debate teams within, I believe, Ivy League schools, and it is a documentary which will, I don't know, it's one of the best things about documentaries where they get under your skin. And before you, and by the end of the documentary, you're already Googling the people involved to see what else happened, like with what else went in their lives. I think it has a lot to say about modern society. I think it has a lot to say about about how crusty and rusted institutions can become so very quickly, and the impact that has on discourse. I think it has a huge amount to say. But it's also exciting and fun and charming and wonderful. And it's a documentary, and it's called Boy State. All right, those are our 5. Let me hand over to there's loads of people here. Give me Alfie, do you want to go next and choose 3 others?
Yeah, and okay, I'll go. Chloe can go because she has to leave soon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see, Kyle and Mladen.
Lovely, beautiful. Do you want to start us off then, Alfie? What's your number 5?
Sure. My number 5 actually is also A Prayer Before Dawn.
Yay!
Yeah.
What is it that you took away from it the most? What's the overlasting feeling?
Yeah, it's weird because this was at first like a relatively easy list to make because I did have like a really solid top 10 there are exactly 10 A24 movies that I love. The other ones I just, I like them, I think they were good, or I hated them. So this top 5, A Prayer Before Dawn almost didn't make it, but I just had to put it in because I remember watching it I actually watched this in theaters by myself when it came out, I believe 2017, somewhere. Yeah, and it's so it's a film that is so effective. It's so brutal, and it's such a visceral experience that there are so many movies that are based like on true stories and things like that, but I don't think there are many of them that could affect you that much as A Prayer Before Dawn. I think there's just like a handful of like real life story films that could do that.
I think the
So
interesting thing
I had to put it in.
I've been trying to call Malala on Fahad because I know he hasn't seen Steven Zalian's the Night of the miniseries, the Night of, and I've been trying to call Malala on him to get him to try and watch that. And I think thinking back to A Prayer Before Dawn, there are those correlations between that, Prophet, and A Night of. With it, there's nothing more. I guess not nothing more, but it's an incredibly powerful plot dynamic. Just literally putting someone who is unprepared to go to prison into prison. And how do you top that? You put them into a Thai prison when they are Western, when they are
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think the comparison to Midnight Express, I think that's a really good comparison. But A Prayer Before Dawn, I think to me it felt a lot more hardcore. It has a little more, I guess, like exploitation, but not in a really strange way. That it is a very jarring movie, but
It was
not in
heartbreaking.
that way. It's not. I would say it has a lot of exploitation, but I think that it has its goal to show this story, and I mean it. But it's so brutal. It's so and the thing is that it's a really immersive movie, so it just makes it extra jarring to watch it. So it's definitely not a movie that you just watch. You just gotta be in the
No,
mindset.
yeah, no one's watching this on repeat. I don't think absolutely. It's a grueling. It is a bit grueling, but again, I mean, Midnight Express is distressing. I think there's enough beauty and enough humanity in A Prayer Before Dawn that it kind of stays on that right side of the line. Heartbreaking that I remember when it showed at Cannes. They had all of the cast, and part of the cast who play the prisoners were real ex-cons, real people from that underworld who they got to play those roles within A Prayer Before Dawn. And if you remember the main guy with the teeth, I think he became a DJ. He'd only been out of prison for a number of months, and did the film, and then the film went to Cannes, and he went to Cannes and was in floods of tears when it won a number of awards, and then very sadly went back into prison a number of months later. So it's kind of, it's more than the sum of its parts. I think A Prayer Before Dawn. I think both the story of what it is, and you can follow Billy Moore. By the way, Billy Moore is a real person. He's on Twitter. He's fucking hilarious. He's a little bit problematic in places, but he's a real person, and it is a very true story. Eye-opening. Okay, that's enough on A Prayer Before Dawn. Let's Chloe. What's your number 5, babe?
All right, my number 5. And keeping in mind that, like I said, I've either seen these movies once and just went, yeah, that was all right, and never want to watch it again, or I haven't seen
Fair enough.
So my number 5 is The Witch.
You mean the Vivitch?
Yeah, exactly. The Witch.
The Vivitch. I still haven't seen it.
Don't.
Oh, really?
It had it for me. Like the only reason I watched it is because it had such a hype to it, and then I watched it and I went, "Well, that was just a load of bullshit." It completely disappointed me. Like. It was my sister that hyped it, by the way. My sister was like, it's meant to be really good. It's meant to be blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, all right, let's do it. And I watched it and I felt like I had just wasted time of my life.
Okay. All right. So one that I mean stuck with you, but for the wrong reasons. All right. So you've got the Vivitch at number 5.
Yeah.
Kyle, can you give me your number 5, man?
Sure. And I'll also infuriate you, as I know you like me to do, by saying that I thought The Green Knight was the biggest letdown of all the films I saw that year. Because I know the story, the original story.
Oh, me too.
I acted in a play of the original story.
So did I.
And yet the movie somehow decided to go strip the whole story down and the whole message of the story away in favor of abstract.
But I liked that.
I didn't.
I liked that.
I was just like,
I appreciate your. I see where you're coming
well,
from.
like, okay, let me make it clear. I'm not going to try and be a complete purist and say that any deviation from the story would have been bad. No, not at all. But replace it with something. They replaced it with nothing.
I humbly disagree.
Story-wise,
this isn't your number
artistically, it was a beautiful film, and musically, it was beautiful. Performance-wise, it was incredible, which is why it was such a letdown for me, because it was the same as John Wick. Like, all this amazing effort put in by so many people for
and there's no soul.
Story.
There's no soul. There's no soul at the heart of it. You played your card in John Wick 1 with the dog, and now you're just.
Oh, I've only seen one John Wick, and anyway, that's a whole other story. But anyway, my number 5 is Locke.
Yay! Talk to me about Locke.
Well, I thought Locke was
about it being amazing.
I thought it was the most unique Tom Hardy performance that I have yet seen. Honestly, I think it's the most different from all the other roles I've seen him in.
There's a very particular thing that he does with his voice, and it's
a Welsh accent.
I think we've talked about it before. Well, the Welsh accent naturally, in its natural form, it's very quick, it's very up and down, it's Michael Sheen, it's very joyful, it's very expressive, it's very flexible. You can move from left to right in all kinds of ways, but ultimately it's a very happy, engaging accent. The thing is with Tom Hardy's character is that he is none of those things. He is the exact opposite. He is controlled to the nth degree. So what you get is this. It's a very good accent. It's a very, very spot on accent, and I have friends who have backed me up on that. But it just sounds a bit weird because it's a Welsh accent in the tone of someone who has no emotional range or capability whatsoever.
The one thing well, anyway, never mind. Actually, that's nothing to do with the film itself. The film is good. Like, I thought the film was a fascinating, like, what do you call that? I mean, there's a term for an enclosed space film.
It's a bottle episode.
A chamber film.
Yeah, it was a really good film of its kind in that regard. So, yeah, that's why I put it at number 5.
Contained.
Cha-ching. All right, Maladin, brother.
Okay, hello guys. Hello,
where are you now?
Sorry.
Which Eastern European country are you hailing from this evening?
This evening I'm in Serbia, so I'm still in Serbia. Yeah, it's 1:45 a.m. So good morning.
Commitment.
To all of you, good evening. Yeah, I stay late for these because they are amazing and they make my week. So nice. Okay, quick note. I did not include Everything Everywhere All at Once or Moonlight. I think they're in the league of their own, so I sort of thought like doing a little bit more personal kind of list. And I was at the list of 15, 20 movies, so yeah.
Okay, now we have the phrase that we were searching for earlier, Ryan, which is League of Their Own. Okay, I think Basic doesn't cover it. I think League of Their Own is a much more succinct way of describing certain choices.
And interestingly, I think that the unique character, Everything Everywhere All at Once, kind of fade when you have the entirety of A24 filmography.
Exactly.
It's still a unique, brilliant movie, but it's slightly less unique, outwardly eclectic movies.
Well, hopefully, the whole point of this,
Incredible.
Mladen, hopefully the whole point of this is actually people pick up some recommendations from tonight's space, and that's it's a big chunk, and that's I think why people tend to leave the obvious ones out, because A, yes, they are in a league of their own, but also B, it's a great opportunity to perhaps showcase some movies that other people haven't seen. Okay, what have you gone for at number 5?
Number 5, I'm a sci-fi guy, so Ex Machina. I adore Alex Garland's movie. It's such beautifully written. It's such masterfully acted. I still hope somehow Donald Gleason becomes the huge name I truly want him to be. So
I think those who know. If those who don't, Domhnall Gleeson is the son of Brendan Gleeson. If you want to have some fun and you're bored at work and can listen to podcasts, I would recommend downloading the podcast, the Off Menu podcast with James Acaster and Ed Gamble, in which they have Domhnall Gleeson on to talk about his dream menu, his best meal. It's one of the, I think, what would most people know him from? Perhaps The Last Jedi, Force Awakens, Harry Potter, Charlie.
He has
Charlie?
a small part.
About Time.
Mother.
Black Mirror.
Mother. Yeah.
The Revenant.
The Revenant, yes. He's got one of those faces, and he's an incredibly versatile actor.
Has anyone seen Frank?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, yeah.
I've seen Frank. Yes, great movie.
He's also excellent on the TV show called The Patient with him and Steve Carell.
His brother is also an actor. They're in a movie called... they're in a TV series over here, comedy series called Frank of Ireland. It's an acquired taste, but he really does have comic chops, Domhnall Gleeson. But I think About Time is the other one, isn't it, that most people would know him from. But okay, Ex Machina, I'm so glad you brought it up. I'm going to move on quickly because I need to get everyone's lists in, but I hope we're going to talk more about Ex Machina because has one of, and I stand by this, and Alfie thinks I'm mad, I think, and other people agree with him, it is one of the creepiest disco dancing scenes in cinematic history is featured in Ex Machina. I have never been creeped out by watching two people dance sexily to disco music in my entire life. Let's move on. Alfie, back to you for your number 4, please.
Yeah. So I actually took a similar approach because there are some movies that are not in my top 5s that would surprise you that aren't there, but I wanted to go with something, I don't know, that were more resonating with me because I don't have Everything Everywhere either in my top 5. I don't have Ex Machina. I don't have Under the Skin either.
Hang on, there's one that you definitely have in though, isn't there? There is one.
There is one, yes, but
we'll get to it. We'll get to that. What's number 4?
So my number 4 is The Florida Project.
Yay! And again, talk about
one
projects.
Almost made my list.
Talk about projects which
Mine
again,
is too.
I think it's. What's weird is I'm trying to think of another studio that has such a distinctive kind of hallmark to it, but the hallmark in itself is entirely kind of mercurial, but you know it when you see it. Like the Florida Project, of course that's an A24 movie. Of course it is. Favorite part? Would you go?
Some have said it's because of the neon, that like neon-ish look. Some would say that's like a sign it's an A24 movie.
But I wouldn't necessarily.
I mean, it looks like a Sean Baker movie. That's what it looks like.
Yes, I would agree with that.
It looks like Tangerine, and Tangerine is not an A24 movie.
No, that's very true.
And it does, and it looks like Red Rocket. I mean, Red Rocket it is A24, but you know.
I think from a visual perspective, you can look back at things like ones that we've mentioned, like A Prayer Before Dawn, like Moonlight, in which cinematography is so key to how, I mean, to everything, every part of it, because there is, again, Moonlight, there is such a poetic visual sense to it that it's undeniable, and I think there's elements of that certainly that you can see in the Florida Project too. All right,
yeah, and actually, this one, I have to say, I would say this is my favorite Willem Dafoe performance, and also I think it has one of the best child performances I've ever seen in this movie.
Oh my God, yes.
Yes. So yeah, that's why it's up there. I watch the Florida Project all the time because that final scene, that, well, you know what happens at the end, but it's so incredible that I'm like, I can't believe that I'm seeing like this like 8-year-old doing this scene. It's incredible.
I think that's a testament to Baker himself in terms of getting those performances. I mean, I don't know for a fact, but I would assume he would have been pretty hands-on in terms of how they managed to orchestrate that. It's something in itself. Beautiful. Okay, so your number 4 was the Florida Project. Chloe, what was your 4, babe?
My number 4 was Hereditary. Sorry.
The movie I will never watch.
Why?
Because if Brett Goldstein has watched it and said, I wish I hadn't watched it, I'm not watching
You're
it.
not watching it.
I'm a simple creature.
Again, it was very much another movie where I was like, oh, that sounds all right. And then I put it on, I'm like, it could have been better. But it was all right. Won't watch it again, but it was okay.
I actually agree with Chloe. I thought Hereditary was a really underwhelming movie. I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
Was it overhyped?
I'd second that.
Was it overhyped?
I feel it was. I like Midsommar more, but still, I'm not particularly keen on either of them.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, so we've got Hereditary at 4. Kyle, what's your number 4?
Number 4. I'm not going to infuriate Teresa and say The Public.
Because you don't have you don't have a death wish, Kyle, because
That's not an A24 movie.
Oh.
Could have fooled me. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay. Number 4 is Moonlight.
Ooh, now. Okay, wonderful. Obviously, it's come up where it has come up. It's either been considered in a league of its own, or it's been at number 1, as for Steph's.
The thing that made Moonlight especially difficult for me to watch was that I was not on good terms with my mom at the time.
Oh, good God. Shit.
And it wasn't, I'm just to be clear, it was not anything like the situation in Moonlight. But
I find that hard to believe.
I say that because it made me more... I say that because it made me more, I guess, sensitive to that sort of conflict. Whether it applied to me directly or not, but it just hit me really hard, and I ended up crying in the cinema while it was playing out. Like her last the mom's conversation with her and with her son.
I think emotional resonance it perhaps again is another kind of trait that you kind of look across, and I don't want to again say movies that other people will say in their lists, but I'm going to bring up one, and that's only because Aaron is here. A similar thing for if you are a father and you have a daughter, After Sun is going to have a much different emotional resonance to you than other if you're not. And I completely take that on board. I think, again, it comes down to that kind of almost Mike Leigh quality of making you believe so much, or making you believe so much in the story and the characters, so much that you're already emotionally transposing your own baggage onto it. Do you know what I mean? I'm sorry, I'm not describing your relationship with your mother as baggage, but you get from the movie what you bring to it. And I think, I don't know, sorry, I'm talking for you, Carl. You tell me.
Well, no, I mean, like, that was just one element of the film that was special, obviously, for me. But aside from, even if that wasn't the case, I still thought it was absolutely deserving of. I mean, granted, with every passing year, my faith in awards for films diminishes just because I realize just how truly subjective it all is. But I did think Moonlight was a far better choice for Best Picture than La La Land. I was so relieved that La La Land lost out
So
in
you and
such a public way.
You and I are essentially the meme.
Speaking of overrated films,
you and I are of the same kith and kin, which is those who saw the gif of Ryan Gosling kind of laughing, like his expression whilst
hang on, Teresa. So what is this? What is this?
I love La La Land.
There's a video I could show you. Look up, go to YouTube and look up Renegade Cut. Like he tears apart La La Land with a fork and knife. Anyway,
there's a place for that. There's a place.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I don't mean to keep deviating from this.
That's all right. All right.
My number 4 is Moonlight.
All right, Alfie. Let's go around everyone's threes quickly, so I can get to other people as well. Unless there's something of interest. Number 3, Alfie.
Oh,
wait, me again.
Skip me.
Oh, sorry, Mladen. Yeah. Mladen, I missed you. I'm so sorry.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
Okay. All right. No problem.
What am I? Chopped liver? I never understood that expression. That's a space for another day. All right. Sorry, Mladen. What's your number 4?
Okay. So, The Tragedy of Macbeth.
Ooh. No, I still haven't seen this. This is the black
and
white.
I am sorry if I have cursed. I'm sorry if I have cursed the space.
No. Okay. No. So, for those of you who don't know, the Scottish play is how it is referred to, but it's only referred to that if you are within the grounds or in a theatre when discussing it. It's an old, very old myth and legend that the curse of saying the name of the Scottish play.
And I know at least 3 different countries where they do not utter the name of it. While they rehearse and perform and everything, they do not utter that name. I know at least 3 different countries. I know a Russian crew that does not do that. I know Istanbul crew, and I know a crew in Belgrade.
I love that.
It's actually quite globally spread. It's like I know about it. They just do not even talk about it. There's even like a code word for that.
For the play. Can I know this is a bit of a tangent. I'll be very quick. Have you seen I believe it's Ray Fiennes. I'm not sure if he directed, but he definitely produced and starred in a version of Coriolanus.
Yes, Coriolanus.
Of course, it was shot in Belgrade.
Which is what.
Yes.
I still haven't thoughts on. I'm so sorry because Tragedy of Macbeth. Yes, but what are your thoughts on that? Because if people haven't seen that, that's something really special.
I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I love. I'm always into Shakespeare, and I'm always into all of these different ways of interpreting something so old. Like, I mean, 5 centuries. Like, if we are still talking about it. So, I mean, the same thing with the Tragedy of Macbeth. It's like. There is some sort of universality of themes that just gives it's the same story, but if you find a new way to tell it, it just makes a new story. It's just I love it. I love classical literature being retold and retold all the time, especially when somebody takes a new approach. And
I think all stories do. I mean, for those of us who grew up with the Greek and Norse and Roman mythology, you kind of begin to, even as a child, recognize that the same stories are the same stories, just told over and over and over and over again. I guess when they're told well, that's where the doors to interpretation and adaptation get opened up. And Shakespeare is definitely one there for that. Just so glad that Denzel Washington got to play Macbeth.
I mean, that's like in my book. That's all I need. Like in terms of diversity, like when people speak about that, like Denzel Washington playing Macbeth. Okay, that's
I'm
it.
here. Yeah, there you go.
I mean,
Put that on the poster.
You have me. You have me.
You had me. You had me at Denzel.
Here is my money.
Right, Alfie. What is your? Right, everyone's number threes. Let's go quickly through this one. Number three, Alfie. What have you got? Alfie, can you hear me? Can you hear my prayer? Alfie? Alfie. All right, we'll come back to Alfie. Chloe, can you hear me?
I can hear you, my love.
What's your number three, darling?
My number three is It Comes at Night.
No, I still haven't seen this.
It's not
Talk
too
to me
bad.
about this. What is this?
It's honestly, it's
Yay!
it is what
Yay.
it is. It's
Got a
like
yay
a
from Ryan.
mysterious apocalypse, and like two families get forced to like share a home, and then basically weird things start to happen, and it's I can't think of the word.
You can stop. You could probably stop there. Also, it could be considered a metaphor for COVID.
If it's one of those ones that the less you know about it, the better.
Well, yeah,
I'm here for that.
Yes, very much so, very much so.
But all right, so it comes.
It's horror mystery. It's a horror mystery.
Wait.
Oh, you shut up.
Hang on. Is it got Joel Edgerton in it? Is that what you were saying?
Yes, as the lead.
All right, done. Sold. Yeah. Brilliant. Sold. I'm in. Kyle.
Excuse me, Skadoosh. Alfie can't get the mic. Kick him out so he can come back in.
What have I got to do to him?
Kick him out.
I've got to remove.
Get rid of him.
I've got to remove.
Done.
Kick him out so
and
he can
block.
come back in.
Report and block. Remove and block. Block.
He was too busy watching Hereditary.
I don't. It's. I hope he can come back in. We'll figure that out. All right, admin. To one side. Kyle, back to you, brother. You're number three.
Number three. Okay. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Okay, good. Okay, talk to me about it then. How did you feel with its? And let's be honest, because everyone was watching how it did at other awards building up to the Oscars, and let's be honest, it probably underperformed.
I mean, I wasn't really paying attention to the awards season this year. Like, as I said, I'm growing less and less interested.
How did you feel that it won so emphatically at the awards?
I thought fair play.
Exactly. And same with me. I woke up the next morning and I looked at the tweets and I went, yep.
I mean, granted, I do find it. Part of me does wish that Stephanie Sue beat Jamie Lee, but at the same time, I guess it's Jamie Lee's legacy Oscar. But then again, you also had Angela Bassett for that, so there's really no.
Yeah, I think
no. I don't know if I would have given Jamie Lee the Oscar for that.
Stephanie, though, is officially in the Oscar nominated club now.
Yes.
And it'll make it easier going down the road to give her an award.
Hopefully so. All right, so 3 Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'm still... Is Alfie back in yet? Where is he? There he is. Click on him. Add as speaker. I know how to do admin because I push... There was an error adding... Oh, for fuck's sake. Hang on. Wait. I know how to do this. Add as a speaker. All right. We'll plow on through. I need Mladen. Your number 3, please.
Okay. And I was picking between two movies, and this one was far better for me. Not better. I liked it more. The Lobster.
Lovely.
It's just amazing movie. And it reminds me like why I love Colin Farrell so much.
Is it the eyebrows?
The eyebrows.
Of course, it's the eyebrows.
Of course. And just a quick note on award season. Like I am a Tar guy all the way.
Of course you are.
And of course, thank you. And I felt a little bit sour. I really felt that movie deserved one Oscar, at least one Oscar. Kate or Todd, one of them should have won. So, but yeah, I I felt at peace with Everything Everywhere winning, except of Jamie Lee Curtis. And I'm sorry, I will never be for a legacy Oscars or anything like that. I don't like it
I don't
because
believe in it either. No,
it creates a ripple effect, and it's always somebody getting
100%.
screwed because of that. Yeah,
Scorsese, and DiCaprio being key examples of that. They won for
yeah.
the wrong movies.
And when we spoke
I'm gonna disagree
about
with
Jacob Tremblay in Room, I would never give DiCaprio his Oscar over Jacob. I would have never given anybody in that lineup an Oscar over Jacob Tremblay. He outacted that year's entire lineup. I
And he
mean,
wasn't even nominated.
and wasn't even
We've
nominated.
had
Yeah,
this argument before, which is, and there are certain elements to it which are valid, which is, should there be a separate category in terms of child performance in a movie? There is the element, the argument which keeps it out of having either its own or having actually child actors be considered for major awards, tends to be that, is it really the actor himself because they are a child, or how much of it is the direction from the director or from people coaching them through the performances? I can see both sides to the argument. I think sometimes, though, there are performances which demand recognition, and I would say Jacob Tremblay being one, Haley Steinfeld in True Grit being another, Sean Astin in The Goonies. Finish on a high.
DiCaprio in Gilbert Grape. I mean, if we are talking about DiCaprio in his
Also, while we're at it, Brooklyn Prince in Florida Project.
Yes, 100%. 100%. Okay, all right. So we've got threes. Alfie and Kale, for some fucking bizarre reason, I keep adding you. It keeps giving me an error message. I'm not sure how to overcome this, but overcome this we shall. All right. Let me keep going. Where's Alfie? Alfie's resetting himself. All right, let's go back. Chloe, you're 2 and then you're 1, please, babe.
My 2 and my 1. My number 2 is Tusk.
Oh, I haven't seen this. This is
Nice.
the horror movie from
I
Kevin Smith,
picking
isn't it?
movies that you haven't seen. What's going on there?
No, I like this. This is the whole point of this shit.
I saw that at TIFF in the cinema.
Yeah.
Okay,
What
this
did
is your
people
number
think
2.
of it there?
So this one must have left an impression on you.
This one, yeah, more so because of its randomness and strangeness.
Good.
It was one of those,
Good.
like, watching it going, surely it's not what I think it is, and then it's kind of like, oh no, okay, it kind of is what I think it is. So very
Okay.
yeah. I remember when I saw it, and I remember overhearing someone else's explanation of it, and it was they said it was a more calmer version of Human Centipede.
Wow. Well, that's something.
Yeah, that was on my way to watching it, and I was just like, okay, do I want to watch it then? But I gave it a go, and it wasn't actually too bad.
Okay, so Tusk at 2. What's your number 1?
My number 1 is The Captive.
Oh, I haven't seen that either.
Yeah, that's got
Talk to me
Ryan
about The
Reynolds.
Captive.
That's got Ryan Reynolds in it, and it's like basically basic storyline isn't. I think it's an 8-year-old goes missing and like vanishes, no trace, and then so I guess so many years go by or something, and next thing you know, the detective starts to find clues that seems as though the girl's actually alive. So obviously he goes and follows the clues to find her. Very basic, but was actually really enjoyable.
Okay.
And it's got Ryan Reynolds in it. Okay. It's got Ryan Reynolds in it, so that just wins for
listen,
me.
In honor of our beloved Beyond Ryler, anything with Ryan Reynolds deserves to be at the top of some lists.
Damn straight it does.
No spoilers for Bullet Train, but fuck it, I've just done it. That cameo took the biscuit. If you haven't seen Bullet Train,
yeah, me and Aaron watched it about 2 weekends ago. So good.
Excellent. I mean, I'm very pleasantly surprised by Bullet Train. All right, I'm trying to figure out, guys. I don't know what's wrong. This is Elon's fault. I keep adding you and accepting requests, and it keeps giving me error messages. I'm just going to. I'm not sure what I should do. Either I should end it and restart it, and hopefully that will get more people back in, or if I should carry on trying. I'm going to carry on trying to see if I can get people back in. If I can't, then I'll have a think about it. But okay,
Skadoosh,
so
my
Chloe's
love,
1 to
now
5.
that I'm done, though, I am
Yes,
going to have to go because I've got lunch plans.
you do that. You go do lunch with the girls
No,
and the
not with the
boys.
girls. I mean, it could technically be with a girl. He is gay, so could be classed as one of the girls.
Honorary girl.
Exactly. He's more
All right, I love
girly
you,
than
baby.
me. So
Yeah, I mean, listen, a bag full of rocks is more girly than you.
probably you're probably not wrong there.
Oh, angry Spanish radio.
Don't start that shit.
I love you. I love you. Have a good day.
Love
Have a
you.
good weekend, baby.
Enjoy
We'll
the
speak
rest of your
soon.
space, guys.
Yeah, boy. Love you, darling.
Bye.
All right. Okay. So Chloe's 1 to 5. She went The Captive at 1, Tusk at 2, It Comes at Night at 3, Hereditary at 4, and The Witch at number 5. Kyle, I'm at you for 2 and your number 1, please.
That's literally the first time I've heard anyone say anything positive about The Captive. That's surprising.
There we go. Listen.
But I'm really glad someone mentioned The Captive because it is to do with my number 1. It's not my choice. Like, the film is not my choice, but the same director, because if anyone who knows me knows that Adam McGoyan, Canadian filmmaker Adam McGoyan, is one of my all-time favorite directors.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, before I get to that, number 2, The Lighthouse.
Now, first mention.
I know. How did it take so long?
It's taken a while. Go on. Go ahead, Rob.
The Lighthouse is the best film Robert Eggers has made yet, but it is a stiff competition because he's gone. He's 3 for 3 as far as I'm concerned.
Same.
The Northman was amazing. I liked The Witch, but The Lighthouse is my favorite so far of his films. Just completely changed my view of Robert Pattinson. And he and Willem Dafoe should have gotten the Oscars that year. Like, they should have made a best. I don't know. They should have made it a tie between the two of them for best lead actor.
What you're saying is they should have had an award of their own, almost.
I think there should be like best cast award, because sometimes everybody does such a good job that, like, yeah, no, it's not about any one single performance. It's just everyone did a great job. Best ensemble. Like, imagine that. Anyway.
I think there are a few contenders. Okay, so that was your number 2, Lighthouse at 2.
My number 1 A24 film is Adam McGoyan's Remember.
Now, I haven't seen this.
It is one of my favorite films.
Tell me about it.
It is a film about, and it sounds like a comedy.
Did you mean to say a boot?
It kind of is, but it also isn't. Sorry?
Did you mean to say a boot? Sorry. A little bit of casual racism.
You're just mad I hated On the Green Knight.
A little bit of casual racism, that's all.
Anyway.
Go on.
So it's about a geriatric man with dementia, a man in his 80s with dementia, hunting down the man who killed his family at Auschwitz.
Jesus. Fuck it. Okay.
Christopher Plummer, his best performance, I would say. One of his best performances. Christopher Plummer, it was one of the best Canadian actors of all time, as far as I'm concerned. 100%. And he carries this movie on his shoulders. He did his own stunts. He plays. This is such an absurd. It's a really cool. How do I put it? It's a subversion of the revenge film.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it takes the idea of the revenge thriller and takes it to an extreme that is just baffling. It's comedic, but it's also not a comedy. It's dark. Like, and the story is great. It's minimalist, but it also, and like, I don't want to say too much about it because you just have to see it for yourself. Like, this is a brilliant film.
What was the name of the movie again?
You've forgotten already?
I mean, again, I haven't seen it.
The title is Remember.
Oh, I mean, that's ironic, isn't it?
And well, anyway, it's just, and apparently, and like, I remember I read the script for it separately from the movie, and there's a note at the end of the script which insists that they spoke to experts and doctors and whatnot to verify that everything they've portrayed in the film regarding dementia is spot on.
Wonderful.
And it's just like, just go watch Remember. It's one of Adam McGowan's 2 best films, and it's definitely my favorite A24 film.
Beautiful. Okay, so Kyle's list in entirety from 1 to 5. 1 is Remember, 2 The Lighthouse, 3 Everything Everywhere All at Once, 4 Moonlight, 5 Lock. Wonderful. Dude, it's been so good to hear your voice again, man.
It's great to be back, Skadoosh, and I hope you've been doing well.
I'm okay. I've got a mouthful of chicken at the moment, but otherwise I'm doing well. I love you, bro. Good to hear your voice. Okay, that was Carl's 5. Mladen, can you give me your 2 and 1?
Okay, so Minari, no Minari, you Americans would butcher the languages.
That too. Okay.
Yes. This one, it's so emotional for me because I think this one really gives us a lot of that Korean energy in terms of how they deal with emotions. There's a lot of emotionality in it, in everything that is about this movie. And it's larger than the culture. I think it's universal.
It's an immigrant story, isn't it?
It's an immigrant story, and it really sort of resonated with me because I remembered because I was a refugee, internal refugee, because I was living at Kosovo in 1999, so my family had to flee to Montenegro, and it's just. How, adapting to a new place and just having that sort of connection with nature. I forgot how much Asian movies have that connectivity of man and the land. It's sort of a forgotten art in American cinema. So yeah.
I'm so glad you said that, because there are elements of, I saw elements of Miyazaki in Minari as well. There's very much that.
For example, I adore My Neighbor Totoro.
Yes.
And there's like this. I like that that connectivity with nature and the spirits of the land and everything. It's just a beautiful, beautiful story.
Wonderful. So that's your number 2. What's number 1?
And number 1, perhaps this is a recency bias, and probably it is After Sun.
Okay. Okay. Now, first mention of After Sun.
Yes, and I am so jealous because I was thinking about Lighthouse, which Kyle mentioned, which is a brilliant movie. But After Sun, it's just my cup of tea. It's just like, it's. Yeah. I'm not talking about it for those of you who didn't watch it during this award season. Please do, and it's totally worth of your time, and it's amazing. I am not overly emotional about it. Sometimes I'm not overly emotional when I watch the movies because I tend to criticize them and think about them. But with After Sun and Minari, it's the heart that shows them, not the brain. And I like that.
Hopefully, we'll talk about this more as we go on, because I have a feeling after some will be on a few people's list. There is the element of it's one of the most time delayed emotional impact movies I think I've ever experienced, whereby you finish watching it and you feel a certain way, and then you probably sleep relatively short time after that, and then you wake up, and then you have a normal day, and then during the course of that day, that movie goes from being, I think, something almost abstract to you, which is, I'm not really sure what that was about. I mean, a daughter and his and the father on holiday, and then by the end of the day, it is probably one of the most important pieces of art you've ever seen.
And it lingers. It sort of lingers, and I mean, I like those movies that lingers with you, and there's always like unsolved puzzle, and then you just try to figure it out. Like, what was and then it just stays with you in a bit of corner of my mind. I don't know how it works for other people, but it works for me. And it just lingers there until it basically blossoms into an idea, and where you understand its artistic beauty, and perhaps you don't understand every aspect of it, because as human, because you understand what you understand, but it becomes something beautiful and inseparable part of your artistic soul or artistic brain or something like that. Okay, that's from me.
Beautiful. Okay, so 1 to 5, your A24 movies. So number 1, After Sun. Number 2, Minari. Number 3, The Lobster. I'm so glad that's got a vote so far. 4, The Tragedy of Macbeth. And 5, Ex Machina. That's a wonderful list. That's gorgeous. It's so good to hear your voice, brother.
I'm back.
And Alfie's back. We worked out technical.
Yeah.
Alfie, I need a 3, a 2,
Elon.
and I need a 3, a 2, and a 1 from you.
Yes, sure. So actually, my top 3 are actually in my top 100 films of all time.
Wonderful.
Yes. So my number 3 is It Comes at Night.
Another mention. Okay, now okay. When you saw it for the first time, what did it leave you with? What feelings did it leave you with?
It was definitely not what I was expecting, which apparently is what turned off a lot of people, because I mean, A24 is just horrible at marketing. They're just absolutely awful. And they were marketing it like it was like this action zombie movie. And I mean, I guess it is a zombie movie, but not really. So it really went just the opposite direction of what I suspected, but it was really my cup of tea. It was incredible, and I think it resonates a lot more now after COVID. It resonates a lot more, so I think people that saw it back then probably should give it another chance and might have a little different perspective. But I really loved the movie from the first time I watched it in theaters. I was the only one in that theater that finished the film because everybody walked out. But yeah, I just love that movie. So that's my number 3.
That's wonderful, dude. That's okay. So what's your number 3? That's your number. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is I also needed to have a David Lowery movie.
You've got a ghost story.
Yes, but I'm not. I'm not going to Green Knight, unfortunately. I have to agree with Kyle. I thought it was really a little underwhelming for me. But yeah, whatever. I'm still a huge fan of him. Yeah, but my number 2 is I'm going with A Ghost Story. Yes, and that movie is incredible. I think it's his best film, which is crazy considering he wrote the script in like 2 weeks and then he shot it in like 1 week, and then it came out like at Sundance, like out of nowhere. So it's incredible that he was able to do that, like in a really shoestring budget.
Is it? Do you think A24's relationship with directors is Do you think it goes one way or the other? Do you think it's more a case of them giving directors their full artistic license, or do you think it's a case of just directors which are actually drawn to a studio which will allow them to go the full hog?
Yeah, but still, I think there are some directors that A24 has given them that I think didn't deserve it. So I think.
Fair enough.
So I think it's a it's a double-edged sword with that.
Okay,
I believe that movie was bought by A24, and I believe also David Lowery spent the money he made from the Pete's Dragon Disney movie and used it to finance
the
that one.
5-star masterpiece. Give it its proper accolade, please. The 5-star masterpiece.
Pete's Dragon is amazing. It's an amazing,
absolutely amazing. I'm so
and I think
I'm actually quite upset
I believe if I think he shot a Ghost Story like a couple weeks after wrapping, or maybe I think he actually shot it while still shooting Pete's Dragon. So yeah, he didn't have rest for a little bit.
All right, okay. So,
but yeah, I don't know if you've seen it. You haven't seen it, right?
I still haven't seen it. It's very high on my list. It's a hard one.
Yeah, I think
it's a hard one to get you to kind of you need to see it, but again, I kind of know what to expect. But
yeah, I think it's incredible. I rewatched it a couple months ago, and it was amazing. I love that movie.
I still need to see it. Okay, so Ghost Story at 2. What was your number 1?
And my number 1 is Aftersun.
Of course it is. Okay, beautiful. Now, but I think a lot of people gave the nomination for Paul Mescal in the acting category at the Oscars. It's again talking of double-edged swords.
I made it happen.
It's good that he got it. I think it's fucking criminal that his performance wasn't given more credence. I think in that consideration, I think it's highly underrated what he does in that. But Alfie, listen, I'm an after Sun stan, but then again, talking of people in a league of their own, you're several levels above me in terms of love for After Sun. So I'll let you take it away for 30 seconds.
Yeah, I guess because I still don't even know what to say about it, because I watched it back in August, I think, last year, when nobody had really seen it. so it was strange for me to talk about it, because there was no way for me to put it into words to describe what the movie is about, or how it made me feel, or how much layers that movie had, because it was, again, A24. I mean, they weren't really doing any promotion. They weren't really trying to make people watch it or making the film available. So it was very difficult for me to convince people to watch it. So
I mean, who's got a Mubi subscription? Genuinely,
I have one.
You have now. Hi, Kit.
I've had it since like 2018.
Oh, okay, all right. Oh, look at me! I've had a movie since 2018.
Because it's great. Right. It's great. It's actually the only streaming service that I have.
I think okay. In terms of marketing aside, in terms of what it's done, I think again, as I said to Kyle, in terms of waking up the morning after the Oscar results came in, a lot of me looked at the awards for Everything Everywhere All at Once and said, "Yep, fine, absolutely fine with that, 100%." I do wish After Sun had at least. I think it deserved more. I think perhaps it's maybe just a case of it came in a particularly chock-a-block year. I mean, you could say the same thing for Banshees of Inisherin. You could say that was snubbed at the Oscars. I think it just is a simple case of there was so much good shit this year. And fuck. we're all lucky to be. So
Yeah, I was actually kind of shocked that Paul Mescal was nominated because I was really not. I had lost all hope. I was like, well, at least I convinced some people to watch it, but I don't think it's gonna happen because I don't know if anybody watched it. I don't know if it's not really the kind of performance that the Academy looks at when it comes to nomination. So I screamed when they said Paul Mescal in actors, and that was incredible.
It got something. I think it got something. It probably deserved more, but again, every day is Christmas Eve. I mean, we should not be lamenting the fact that there is too much good shit. All right, in that respect, thank you all so much for your lists. All right, we've had lists for Alfie, Chloe, Kyle, Maladin, myself, Steph have gone. Guys, thank you so much for waiting. Those of you who have waited, let's get to you. Kale is here. I'm gonna go. I need to get.
Aaron needs to go. So he can go.
Soon. Okay, so let's go with Aaron. We'll start with Aaron. I need Ryan. I need Matthew, and I need Teresa. So we're gonna plow through.
And speaking of plowing through.
Oh, sorry, and I'm Abhijit as well. Abhijit as well. I'm going to include in this one as well in this round. So, whatever you're about to say, Ryan, I hope it was interesting. But if it's not, I'm going to skip over it because I need to move at some speed now. Aaron.
Oh no, I just made the easy joke because of what you said.
Oh, well, we like lowest hanging fruit.
Of course.
Of course we do.
Hey, I got accused of something last night from you.
Yeah, stop feeling up Asian actors. Okay,
I can't help myself.
For context, Kit as well. So it's really kind of unfortunate. Kit just pops in as we're about to talk about this. Okay, all you said, and it's it's the same. All I will say is Ryler would have torn you apart for it because all you said was that Donnie Yen in John Wick Chapter 4, he looks, feels, and sounds. Or moves. Sorry, he looks, feels, and moves like someone not of his age. All I would say is stop feeling up aging Asian actors, Ryan.
I can hear.
That's a good agreement.
Do you want me to do my 5?
No, not yet. I need Aaron's number 5 first, please. There's a cunt in a hat. And he lives in the outback. His name is Aaron, and he looks like a Lebo. Sounds like a one.
Hey.
Aaron, but you okay? Right, you're gonna take if he can't talk at the moment. Kale, you're gonna jump into his position. Can you do that for me?
Oh yeah, that's fine. I didn't mean to jump in. I was just like saying hey because I can finally talk.
No. If he can't talk, I know he's at work because of time difference and stuff. Tia, my love, hello, darling. Good to see you. Right, Kale, give me your number 5.
Oh, we haven't done my list yet.
No, have you posted it? I don't look at posts and that I have too much going on.
No, I gave it to the admin. Wink, wink, wink. To read it just in case I could not make it. But here, I'll go ahead and.
Technical difficulties have been overcome.
So, you want my number 5?
I want your number 5, and I want it now.
It Comes at Night. Trey Edward Schultz. It Comes at Night.
Another one. Okay, all right. I need to fucking see this movie.
Yes, it's like one of the greatest horror movies of the 2010s.
Kale, would you agree that It Comes at Night is a zombie movie?
You can. I mean, it's fair to classify it because it has the same rules, same motifs and character drama. So, sort of, yes.
Sort of, right?
But I mean, interesting that everyone keeps saying the word sort of, kind of, or something.